the evening with us. We've got on the panelists, we have Sister Davina, Sister Michelle, Sister John, and we have our lovely Sister Sonia. So without a further ado, I'm going to welcome Sister Sonia to give us the polls like last week. Welcome, Sister Sonia.
Hello, hello, ladies. Sister Davina, can you give me host to do that poll, please? If not, I'll have to ask the questions. Great.
Yes, Joan is the host today. Actually, she will allow you in a second. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, ladies. So our first question this evening is, and I'm going to share in a minute. So we're going to talk about the causes tonight, the causes of fibroids. So here are some questions for you. What are the endocrine disruptors? When you hear the term endocrine disruptors, what are they? Have a look. I'll give you some time to respond. Is it the chemicals that's causing endocrine disruptors? BPA, pesticides, hydroquinone? Okay, I'll give you another 3 seconds and I'll stop. How many people in the chat at the moment in the meeting room? So we've got 66 people, so not all of us are taking the poll at the moment. Let's get our fingers busy, ladies. Okay. And I'm going to stop this one now, okay? So, and here's the results. So the persons who've actually said all of the above, chemicals, BPA is also a chemical, pesticides, hydroquinone. Now hydroquinone, person says all of the above and someone didn't tick that one. That's a chemical that's in a lot of the facial creams we put on our skin to lighten our skin complexion or to even our skin tone. Normally have that chemical in it. Okay, let's move to the next one. Okay, so our next question is, I have 3 questions for you tonight. Which hormones contribute to fibroid growth? Which of these contribute to fibroid growth? Now, if you're some of us who have actually experienced this or know someone who does, then you know what these answers are. And of course, you can pick multiple questions as well. If it allows you to, you should do, because I've set it up that way. So we've got dopamine, estrogen, serotonin, progesterone, none of the above, or all of the above. Okay, I can see all of the above. Now this one might be a tricky one, because you know the body is linked. Okay, should I stop now? Okay, I stop sharing. Oops, I've got the list in front of me here. Okay, and the poll. So we've got share results. Estrogen being the highest. So we've got 64% of us tonight says estrogen. Definitely estrogen. Progesterone when there's an imbalance in the body. Now, no one chose dopamine because we know what dopamine is, the happy hormone. So it's a hormone, yes, but not necessarily a reproductive hormone that interferes. But, you know, someone gets always sad, always depressed, you know, so we're not going to choose that one. But yes, estrogen and progesterone, serotonin, someone said. And yes, for the person who said actually, only one person actually said serotonin. But yes, estrogen and progesterone are the main ones, especially estrogen, when there's an imbalance between estrogen and progesterone. Okay, let's stop sharing. I've got somebody in the waiting room here just blocking my screen. Let me just move this along. Okay. And our last question tonight, or this evening. Which of these countries recorded the lowest number of fibroid cases? which of these countries recorded, and this is from a survey that I've actually read, so yeah, recorded the lowest number of fibroid cases? Was it UK? Was it Germany? Was it the USA? Or is it Italy? And I'm gonna stop. Get your fingers going, ladies. 3, 2, 1, and I'll stop the poll. How many of us now? We've got 74 in the room. Stop the poll. Ah, now, for the ladies who chose Italy, and it'd be really nice to know why you chose Italy. If someone could just unmute themselves and, you know, for the person who actually chose Italy. Why do you think Italy was the lowest? Because that's the answer is right in terms of the poll. That's the lowest, because the highest country in the survey was the USA in terms of population. So why do you think Italy? Oh, someone says the food is better. So they may eat more of a Mediterranean diet, so lots of fruits and vegetables maybe. But in terms of
diet.
Pardon me, Divina?
I said they eat a much healthier diet because the Sardinians, which are in a place in Italy, is actually one of the places that is recognized on the geographical map as the blue zone. One of the 5 places that are considered blue zones where people live to be an average life of over 100 years old.
That's correct, yeah. And then there's less more sort of processed food as well, because the highest country in this survey was the USA. And we know USA is famous for what's called lots of junk food and big portions of food, fatty, greasy food, generally speaking. So yes, Italy is the country, the lowest.
And also they do not allow GMO food.
Yes. So there's no thing that's going on. So yes, ladies. So this ends our questions for tonight.
Sorry,
So,
Sonia.
Yes.
It would be nice to know the ratio of Black women in Italy compared to the other countries as well.
Yeah. So the population in terms of the women in Italy was, so that was 5% of the women. So the ladies who had fibroids in Italy was only 5% of the women in Italy that were reported, as opposed to the USA, who had 29% of the women in the USA had fibroids. Yeah.
What about the UK? Did you
UK,
get that?
so yeah, so the UK was 19.1%.
Thank you.
So the next, yeah, so there was, and then of course Germany was 21.8% in terms of ladies who recorded having fibroids.
Oh, so Germany has a higher incidence than UK.
Than UK, yes. There was so the highest was USA, Germany, UK, and of course then Italy as other European country. Okay. All right, this ends our poll, ladies, and I'll just hand back now to Davina.
Ah, lovely. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It is good to see you again, our second, and we hope to actually cover the rest of all the points that we want to cover in fibroids tonight. So next week, if we manage to cover everything, the impact, as well as how you can combat this, if we manage to cover all of this tonight, as well as the causes, then next week we will look at endometriosis, another one that plagues our community. So just a brief recap. What is this monstrous thing, right, that destroys our womanhood? It affects 70 to 80% of women, but 85% of Black women. It is clearly more common in Black women. It is more severe in Black women, and it starts also at a much younger age in Black women. It causes us to suffer from low blood count, low iron levels, severe anemia, tiredness, lethargy, no energy whatsoever, excessive bleeding, and very painful periods. Sometimes even 2 pads persons have to be wearing stacked on each other to absorb all that. Ooh. Constipation, urgency in urine, complications in pregnancy at time, and even fetal development. There is only one you. Let us put our health first Let us take this thing seriously. Let us stop this monster that is going around in our community and in the Hispanic community, the Asian community, and other women. Let us stop this in its tracks. Now, we want to look. We have a panel tonight. So I'll be asking the panel, and on the panel, we've got Joan Cornwall. We have got Sonia Barnes, who just did the poll. We have got Michelle Hall, and we have got Sylvie Mutesi. Lovely name, Sylvie. All right, so I'm gonna ask a few questions and the panel will answer. Are you able to tell us what is the cause, ladies, of this disease that is wreaking havoc in our community? Could you name a few of the causes, please? Anyone from the panel?
Okay, poor diet.
Poor diet. Give us a little bit more about that, Joan.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the foods that we tend to consume nowadays are hormone laden. So, and they contain synthetic hormones as well. So you'll find synthetic hormones in a lot of processed foods.
Yes.
And also you'll find that a lot of the meats, you know, beef, pork, a lot of the dairy products that come from the beef, they would have injected quite a few hormones in those animals. And therefore, if we are part of the food chain, we are going to consume what the animals consume. A lot of the hormones are found even in the feed that is given to the animals. And so therefore, some of us who are unlucky will produce too much estrogen.
As a result of getting
body.
that excess hormone.
As a result.
Okay.
May I just add to that to say chicken is a very big culprit.
Yes.
When I was a little girl, many moons ago, our chickens used to take 6 months before they were matured.
Mm-hmm.
Then by the time the 80s came along, they took 6 weeks. And now it's much less than that. So they had the women taking the grow-up pill to have the big boobs and the big bottoms. So that is being passed on into the bloodstream and disrupting our bodies and produces abnormal growths as well. So chicken is a big culprit as well.
Can you tell us, can you or anyone else from the panel say a little bit more about this grow-up pill?
The grow pill.
Yes, what is it growing? Why are we taking it?
Well, it's I don't know if it's but I know back home in Jamaica, a lot of the women, because they wanted that voluptuous figure, okay? So they went for taking the pill. They call it the chicken pill.
Yes.
That a lot of women were taking, and they have these abnormal growths in where the glandular areas, you know? And it's not something to be desired. If you didn't get it naturally, just make the most of what you have.
Excellent. Go to Victoria's Secret. Right. All right. Thank you very much. Is there any more causes, ladies, that comes to mind?
I just want to mention also with the
yes, hair products.
Okay, and Sonia was saying something as well. So Sylvia, you're saying hair products, Sonia?
Yes, I just want to talk onto the meat eating, or the flesh, in terms of if we don't have enough digestive enzymes in the gut to break down that meat as well, which the meat takes much longer to pass through the digestive tract anyway.
Yes.
So eating that meat and not having intrinsic factor to break it down, so then we have something called leaky gut, because the food's taking too long to pass through. And we know vegetables will go quickly anyway, pass through there, but not meat. And so we then have leaky gut, and that can cause illness on its own, symptoms. But also then the estrogen is backing up. So if you've got high estrogen in the body, then you're not having regular bowel movements to pass that through, and can also be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. In addition to what you've just said, Sonia, the meat taking a much longer time to pass through the alimentary canal, would that also implies that our body is actually reabsorbing all this waste product that the body was meant to eliminate?
Yes, because all the toxins, because remember, food is it's food, the chemicals, food going into our bodies anyway. So it's chemicals. And so when it takes longer to digest, then we have more toxins sitting longer in the gut. And that creates little holes in the digestive tract, so which called leaky gut. So think of a strainer where, you know, if you do your rice and peas sort of thing, and does that, and you chop the coconut and you want to get the juice away from the trash. So you have a strainer with little holes in it. So when the food sits too long in the gut, it creates little holes in the digestive tract. And that will gut and cause other illnesses as well too, because it's not being passed through quite quickly.
So things that are not supposed to go into the bloodstream is now being absorbed through the tissues.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
May I say also that because the toxins are not being eliminated, the body is trying to protect itself. So it will form tumors to curtail the toxins so that they don't go all over and damage other cells. And the glandular areas, again, the endocrine system, the breast and stuff, we find these lumps and stuff will be formed to protect the rest of the body. Hence, we have fibroid tumors.
Okay, so they cause an increase in growth.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, how about gluten, bread, wheat, dairy products, sugars, processed foods? Well, I did hear processed foods already mentioned. How about stress?
Oh, yes.
When you, stress affects our endocrine system. And of course, the endocrine system is what emits the hormones that regulates our body in so many different ways. And therefore, if you are suffering from extreme stress, then your hormones will suffer. And remember, part of the endocrine system, there's a hormone that allows us to sleep and sleep well. And if we do not sleep well, and if we're stressed, then that will be affected. And in turn, if your body's not rested, you will actually suffer from some of the debilitating conditions, especially when it comes to the reproductive system in women.
All right. Thank you very much, Joan. I just want to ask as well, how about heavy metals? I haven't heard that one touched on. Are you anyone able to say a little bit about heavy metals?
Yes, I can. Heavy metals, things like our tooth fillings, you know, metals that we get from eating fish, mercury, you know, all those things that we put in our teeth. Some people wear teeth, metal, you know, metal teeth. You've seen them.
The filling, the mercury filling.
Yeah, the filling, and also kind of the gold teeth or the silver teeth, anything like that kind will.
Aluminum foil. Yeah.
Yes.
20% of aluminum in there as well.
Excellent, Michelle. A lot of our personal care products.
Yes.
Aluminum in them.
Yes.
And our pots and pans, the Dutch pot, the Jamaican Dutch pot, the skillet, the cast iron skillet that we love to fry in because it makes such a good product, you know, gets a really good outcome. But these are aluminum based. The pressure cooker.
Yes.
The non-stick cookware is they use formaldehyde to glue the non-stick to the metal.
Yes.
And most of those metals are aluminum because it's such a great heat conductor.
Yes.
When you have the non-stick cookware and you scratch it, you should never use it. You should throw it out because you're releasing so much, the chemicals, the heavy metals, those are getting into the bloodstream. And so we need to pay more attention to our utensils, what we're using and what we're putting on our bodies and what we're putting in.
Okay, how about then the hair we wear, the extensions, the wigs?
Yes, we're going to come to that one because that's a big one, Sylvie. So I'll come to that one a little bit later. But what I want to ask now is one of the main causes of fibroids, it is said to be hereditary. Are you able to shed any light on this for me? Because I wasn't able to pick up any research that showed any genes that you need to be born with to say, well, you've inherited that particular gene. You were born with that gene, so you're more likely to have fibroids more than just being black.
Well, we normally hear that even for diabetes or high blood pressure, they say, oh, my mom had it or my grandmother had it. The hereditary trait is the lifestyle.
The lifestyle.
It's not the genes, it's the lifestyle. Bad lifestyle practices, we tend to copy what our moms did, how she cooked and the food tastes good. So we use the same type of cookware, we use the same types of seasonings, you know, and those are the triggers. But they're not so much the cause, they just help to facilitate in the abnormal growths.
As Barbara O'Neill normally says, genetics loads the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger.
Yes.
Yes. So what I want to touch on now is some of the chemicals, other chemicals, apart from what Sonia had mentioned earlier in the poll, that are actually known endocrine disruptors, right? So we've got some strong chemicals like formaldehyde, lye, ammonia, thioglycolic acid. And we know that when some of these things are used long-term, they can cause growth, tumors to grow, and they're actually linked to the growth of fibroids. According to Dr. Christopher and Nikki Walton, from the founder of curlynikki.com. And Dr. Christopher is from a university. I can't remember the name of the university where he lectures at, where he's a scientist there in the head of the chemistry department. Now, we mentioned black hair earlier. I just want us to talk a little bit about that. In my findings, I get to understand, right, according to Dr. Jennifer Claude, that 70% of hair products marketed to Black women have chemicals that are called endocrine disruptors. And some of the chemicals that I've just named are some of the chemicals that are in these products. Are you able to say anything, ladies, on this? Are you able to shed any light on this matter?
To say that it was for one of those, that same very reason why I stopped relaxing my hair some 6 years ago, when I realized what was in the products. Because it wasn't because my hair was breaking or shedding too much for me. When I realized what was in the product, that's when I stopped using the especially the relaxers. For those who've experienced relaxing, when you go to the hairdressers and they open the tub or the mixture, how awful does that smell?
The ammonia comes right up at you.
Comes right up at you. It's so and you're trying to. And for me personally, I like my hair bone straight. It needs, so I would sit in that chair waiting for my hair to be processed to get every kink out of my hair because I wanted it so straight, not realizing the damage I was doing to myself.
Yes.
So
and
that's one of the reasons why I stopped. Yeah.
Not just yourself, but I want to say that a lot of hairdressers, and so the
Yes.
next time you do your research, you could take a look into that. A
Yes,
lot of hairdressers actually do die from reproductive cancers.
Yes. They have. Yes,
Yeah.
I've actually seen the study for that as well too. Because you see, they're standing over it day after day. They may have 8 relaxers in a day, and they're actually applying that chemical to someone's hair, and they're just inhaling that. So
poor ventilation in those shops
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, all right, so I just want to share my screen a little bit. Oh, when you get a chance, Joan, can you allow me to share my screen, right? So we will also have a testimony that will be coming up. and we will probably fit the testimony in the middle, and then we will continue the program. So let's see if I can share now. Not yet. All right, so what I want to say as well is there are certain chemicals like the formaldehyde, the lye. These are in hair products marketed to Black women, right? Now, there was some big scandal, and this came out in the open that these products are causing fibroids and other tumorous growths. As a result, these products were withdrawn, they were recalled, and the chemicals were replaced.
And I suppose adding to that, because people may be saying, well, why would hair products cause fibroids or reproductive issues if you're putting it on your head? But what we must remember is that anything that is absorbed through the skin gets into our body, the skin being the largest organ of the body.
Yes, that's so true, Joan.
There was a study that was done where they started to do research on women that used relaxers. And what they found was, through autopsy, is that there was like a green gunk, like gel that was just sitting in their scalp, you know, between the scalp and the brain. And that's when they realized that all we were doing was absorbing that green gunk, or the chemicals that made up the relaxer. So you had a lot of women who were dying from brain tumors, you know, brain cancers, breast cancers, reproductive issues. So it really isn't the best way to go. And like Sonia, it was about 6 years ago when I decided to go natural and stopped relaxing my hair, when I realized what was contained in those products.
Yeah, because Sister Joan, when I actually heard about that same study, that's what put the frighteners in me as well, to say, okay, enough.
Yeah, yes.
Don't say anymore. So it was enough for me to say, okay, stop now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you know, I relaxed my hair. Well, my parents allowed me to do it from when I was 15 years old. So I started really young.
Yeah.
So that was quite a long time. So the damage that, you know, would have caused in my body, but thank God. Yeah.
Thank God you have been saved. You have been rescued. All right. So just want to look at some of these headlines, right? Do hair relaxers cause fibroids? Now, formaldehyde-free product, that is what you call a serum smoothing therapy, and like those that control frizz, some of these products, right, that we use, that ladies use in their hair, right, and especially Black hair. Now, so these were recalled. They removed the formaldehyde, so now they've replaced them with other products, right, and it's now labeled 100% formaldehyde free, guaranteed. No lye relaxer, right? So are these any better? I just want to say, scientific research. This is what I'm trying to get rid of this little thing on my screen. Scientific research, right, has proven that these products that they have replaced the formaldehyde with, they actually mimic the formaldehyde. So you get the same issue. You still get the endocrine disruptors. You still get the growth happening there. And not only that, but some of the products, when when you put that product in the hair and then you put the hot iron to straighten it,
yeah,
the steam from that produces ammonia, and it also produces formaldehyde itself. So the hairdresser is getting it, you're getting it, and you're sitting there in a room without ventilation.
As regarding the formaldehyde as well, a lot of places use formaldehyde to preserve fish.
Oh yes, they do. So one way or the other, from these products, as well as a flesh-eating diet, we will get it if we go down that route. right? So we know that endocrine disruptors mimic our hormones, and that's how they block the actual duty of our own hormones and cause havoc inside our bodies, right? Now, we just want to look at the two main culprits in terms of hormones. What are they? And are you able to explain the how these work really? Estrogen and progesterone. What sort of imbalance is that? Are you able to explain the imbalance in estrogen and progesterone?
Well, what I know is estrogen is too high. That's why the fibroids grow.
Yeah.
So there are so many feeders to fibroids. What you have mentioned, you know, the food, the diet, the hair products, all those things that we have mentioned. So they make these fibroids grow. So the estrogen is too much in the body, hence why fibroids grow to whatever level, and it causes us all sorts of problems and the hormonal imbalance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have you got anything more to add, panelists, before we take a pause in transmission? And
Estrogen in itself is not a bad thing.
oh no, of course not.
Women, we do need estrogen.
And we love estrogen.
Yes.
Yes.
The issue is an overproduction of estrogen. So that is why we mentioned earlier in the show that if you eat hormone-laden meats, synthetic estrogen-laden foods, you don't eat enough phytoestrogen foods, which is foods that can reduce the amount of estrogen, then that is when you will have problems. So overproduction of estrogen in the body can also cause lead to breast cancer because you have too much estrogen. So it's about making sure that our body is balanced, and our wonderful body that's been made by our Lord God, you know, it can balance itself out once we put the right things in it, and once we're not putting in synthetic hormones. Estrogen is produced when you are pregnant. So you will have estrogen, but you will also find some women, if they have too much estrogen, they will develop fibroids while they're pregnant as well. That can happen. So it's about balance, you know, making sure that our body or our hormone system is balanced enough so that it works properly. And sometimes it doesn't, but it can be rectified as long as we follow the right dietary plan and we eat enough phytoestrogens, which we're going to go into a bit later on in the show.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. May I add to that?
Sure.
That if you are going to bed late, you're disrupting your balance of hormones, and you will find that women who are overweight, they tend to have a lot of estrogen in their body because it's a buffer as well. If you're very hippie, you see the ladies that have the pear shape and they've got really rounded bottoms, they tend to have a lot of estrogen and insulin. If you are taking contraceptives, you're suppressing the body's natural hormones, and then when you take it out, you have this surge. It's like damming a river. When you lift the dam, you'll have that surge of water that just floods the area. You do something similar when you take contraceptives and then you come off it. A lot of women find that they develop fibroids and all these things because the body is just trying to get back into equilibrium, and it doesn't know where to put what, you know?
Absolutely.
So we must not work against nature. We need to facilitate nature to function effectively.
And can I just follow one? Sorry, Sylvia, you go.
Yes, while Michelle was talking, you just reminded me something that is so vital and is so detrimental for women regarding fibroids is night shifts. Night shifts is a killer for women. It causes disruption to the body. The body is meant to rest at night, and it causes all sorts of stress. Hence, all these fibroids and the tumors in the bodies start growing.
Yes.
And how about vitamin D? Because we know Black people suffer
Yes, they do. But I just wanted to follow on from what Michelle was saying. And it's not to discourage women. I just want to encourage you. But science has told us that when women have too much weight or fat around their midriff, and if you're not pregnant, then you need to look into why you're carrying so much weight around your abdomen area. And you'll find it in men, you'll be very surprised, but there are men suffering from estrogen, overproduction. And it simply is the foods that we're eating now, the hormone-laden foods. We're not supposed to carry a lot of weight around our gut as women unless you are pregnant. That is the honest truth. So you're not supposed to be carrying too much weight around your abdomen. I want to add to what Sister Sylvie said. You'll normally find that women, especially if they work the night shift and they work continual night shifts, they will develop thyroid issues. They will. It's a known fact. It's scientifically based. There is data out there. If you work night shift, you will actually have issues with your health, and it will be your thyroids. And again, we're talking about hormone imbalance. So it's very, very, sleep is important. And if you can try to catch up on your sleep, you can, but you will never, ever be able to, in your lifetime, catch up on the sleep that you lose when you work the night shift. And it's unfortunate because many of us, we do have to work. So it's about looking after yourself and putting the right foods in your body, like I said before, phytoestrogens, so that at least you have a chance to have some restoration to your health.
What are phytoestrogen, Joan? Do you mind?
Phytoestrogens are phytoestrogens mean foods that will reduce the overproduction of estrogen, or we call it estrogen blockers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phytoestrogens are plant-based foods.
Yes.
Yes. So I must say though, thank you, sister. You're welcome. In terms of if you are plagued with fibroids, that tells us that you have an estrogen imbalance, and therefore you should avoid, like soy, which is a very rich phytoestrogen. It's very rich in phytoestrogen, I must say, but you should avoid it. Once your body is producing so much estrogen, then you can't afford to really go to the extent of adding insult to injury. You need to rectify the problem before you start adding those things into the bodies. For older women in the menopause, the phytoestrogen foods, we will need more of that because the body's not producing as much.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And sorry, sis.
Yeah, I was just gonna say to women here listening to us, personally, I've gone through this. I know, and I know very well what I have done, given all the things that we have shared here today. I'll be giving my testimony later on in the program and in the programs that are coming. But when you decide and determined to take charge of your health, there's nothing that is impossible. Our Lord has made us, has fashioned us in a most beautiful way you can ever imagine. If we could only take upon the laws of health and adhere to them and do them consistently, there's no disease that cannot be reversed.
Oh, thank you very much, Sister Sylvia. We will now have a breaking transmission. We will have a testimony from Stacia Goodlight. And after the testimony, we will look at a bit more on the impact of fibroids on our social life, our spiritual life, our well-being, just the quality of life in general. How does it impact our lives as well as the husbands and the family and the workplace? So Stacia, you can now unmute yourself and share your testimony with us, please.
Hi, everyone. You guys have really taught me a lot today so far. I had to do my own study because when I found out I had fibroids, but I'm still learning trust me, you never stop learning. So my testimony now, it was mentioned that when people get pregnant, you can develop fibroids. I had processed here for just 4 years of my life. And when I decided to leave Jamaica, I said, okay, I'm gonna just cut my hair off, and I went natural. This was also because of what I learned, Rely and relaxers and stuff like that. But I never knew that I didn't know that I had fibroids or anything like that. At that time, that was 2013. Anyways, in 2017, I got pregnant. In getting pregnant, you have to do your ultrasound checkup and stuff like that. At my first check, I found out that I had 2 fibroids. And they were very small, but based on what the doctor said, it didn't just develop now. Doctor stated that I had it from before. But with pregnancy, because, based on the increase of estrogen, because estrogen is known as a growth hormone, which is needed, for growth of the endometrial sac for the baby to be cushioned and everything like that, and growth of the placenta. The fibroids also was growing. So one of the negatives of fibroids, if a woman has a lot of them, this can cause her to have a miscarriage. And because it will take the nutrients from the baby, from the body itself, and take it for itself. It so happened that I did have a miscarriage, but I think the fibroids did attribute to it, but that wasn't the major thing. But what came out of this was the fact that I found out I had fibroids. Anyways, so I kept monitoring the fibroids, and then I went online now. I said, okay, I need to learn how to get rid of these fibroids. So what I started to do was castor oil. I started to use castor oil and hot water. Simple as that. Lemon juice, pure, like detoxing the body, and castor oil and hot water. And I went back and I checked, and my fibroids were shrinking. My fibroids started to shrink. After that, I got pregnant again, so I had to stop the castor oil pack. However, during the second pregnancy, they did not increase in size. They were the same at the beginning towards the end. And at this point, I was my diet had changed anyways. So I think that was the main thing, because I grew up eating KFC. Jamaicans love their KFC, jerk chicken, everything. Everything that was bad. So I would basically heat the castor oil. Okay, so I'll just tell you what I did very quickly. Place a cotton rag in some castor oil, douse it in castor oil, and I wouldn't buy the castor oil. I would get it from some old woman who would express it herself. And I would put that on my stomach, wrap that with saran wrap, and then put a hot water bag over it and stay for at least an hour per day. And I did that every day and for a couple months, and that shrunk my fibroids, because I don't think mine were so big. But trust me, there's a whole regimen out there that I'm sure AGMM can help you with if you are troubled with fibroids, to get rid of them, because you can also, there are things you can drink, detox your body. And I've heard of testimonies of people passing fibroids out, because there are fibroids that are okay. There are fibroids that are in the uterus, hanging off the uterus. There are fibroids that are in the muscle, and there are fibroids that are outside of the uterus. So the ones that are inside the uterus itself can be passed out. The other ones will be melted off. So, God is good. I heard you guys mention nutrition. Whether we want to use New Start or God's Plan, I heard you guys mention basically what you put on your body. So important. I heard you guys speak of just in general, everything that we do. That one about rest. I never knew that one. So you guys taught me that one. I never knew about the night. And I also have a friend who developed thyroid problems because of night shift. So you guys are on point, on the money. And that's my testimony that, when you don't know, you don't know, but now we know we have to do better.
Absolutely.
Amen.
That's my testimony.
Amen. Thank you very
you.
much. Shall we
You're
see
welcome.
still? No. Thank you very much, Stacia, for that testimony. We will now look at the impact.
Davina, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It says recording paused.
Okay, I see.
Yes, we need to have the recording, please.
Okay.
Sorry to disrupt your flow.
All right, so we will now look at some of the impact, and we've touched a little bit on the vitamin D because Black women not having, you know, we are sunshine girls. We are sunshine girls. We need the sunshine, and being in these lovely cold countries is not the ideal in terms of for our health and our vitamin D absorption, our vitamin D levels. So we need to get our duly fix of vitamin D every year. We should book a holiday to a tropical country where we can enjoy some good sunshine when we have let our hair down and put down the stress basket, and we just be girls, playing, having fun, relaxing, and enjoying the sun, right? So if you can't book your holiday though, please do go to Holland and Barrett's and get yourself some vitamin D3 with K2.
Can I just say something about vitamin D?
Yes.
Every cell in the body has a receptor for vitamin D and iodine. Both of them are important to keep the body in regulation. Now, I've found that I've got a lot of friends back home in Jamaica who have fibroids. And it's because they're lacking vitamin D as well. And people say, but they're in the tropics. No, you know what? They go to work before in a car that's AC.
Mhm.
They go into an office that has AC. They come out of the office after the sun is going down in a car that's AC. So they very rarely get their vitamin D. And lots of people, we underestimate the value of vitamin D. So it is important, especially us who are abroad and we don't get it naturally as we ought to, we must supplement vitamin D3 with your K2. Vitamin D helps with calcium absorption, all right? It helps with your energy production, how your hormones are regulated. And so if you find that you are lethargic as well, you're lacking vitamin D, is very, very important. Some people have said in the past that we lack vitamin sun, which is SON, you know, so every disease is a vitamin sun deficiency. And we need to just stress that we all need to make sure the darker you are is the more vitamin D you need.
And I'll just add also that a lot of the times our liver doesn't function the way it should.
Yes.
Our kidneys also. And sometimes when, you know, medical missionary will suggest a gut cleanse or a liver cleanse or a kidney cleanse, is to ensure that those organs are working properly. You're getting rid of the fat in the liver as well, because when the sun comes through the skin, then those two organs are key in processing the vitamin D, so the body can actually use the vitamin D from the sun. So it's crucial that those two organs are working quite nicely.
There's a question here. What
Okay.
is, there's a question. What is the best vitamin D brand to buy?
You can get Cytoplan D3 with K2. I will move on now and we will look at the impact that fibroids have on a woman's life. Right, so how does fibroids impact your life? Is
Self-esteem.
it possible for you to get pregnant? Are you having difficulties with getting pregnant? Are
Pardon?
you
I would say self-esteem.
self-esteem? Self-esteem,
because, you know, I've known women to feel very conscious about the extra weight around the abdomen. I've known women who have told me that people thought they were actually like 4 or 5 months pregnant.
Wow.
When they were not pregnant at all, because of the size of their fibroids. I've known women who have said they want to get pregnant, and they realize that it's very difficult for them to get pregnant because of the fibroids. And so it's I would say there's a self esteem and an image kind of what's the word I'm looking for? They're very conscious about the way they look, and then they're conscious about
The physical appearance.
the physical appearance, but also the perception that others may have of them, thinking that maybe, you know, they're pregnant and they're not. And the worst thing that can happen to a woman is when someone says, "Oh, when are you expecting?" And and that has actually happened to someone that I know. They you know, people think that they thought they were pregnant and they were not. So that's one, and I'll leave it to my panel colleagues to add a few more.
Yeah, so how does a woman who keeps having multiple miscarriages, how do you think that impacts on the family? I mean, her and her husband, or her husband. I can't say partner because we've got to have husbands. There's no such thing as
yeah, in times past, the only way that the hospitals used to treat fibroids is through a hysterectomy. Now, the thing is, that has not gone away, because I am aware of some women who I've you know, been in contact with, who have told me that they do not want a hysterectomy and they want another way of being treated. So the hospitals at times still see that as a quick fix, and there is absolutely no reason why a woman should go for a hysterectomy if she does not have to. There are other gentler ways of treating fibroids, especially if the woman is still of childbearing age. You have some, do you know, you've got some women in the mountains and in regions, in parts of the world, who can have children still at 60 years old.
Yes.
And it's actually based on their diet and what they consume and what they do not consume. So the Western diet, unfortunately, does actually add to the stress and the burden of a woman's reproductive system, due to all the hormones that they put in the feeds and the meats, etc. So hysterectomy, you don't have to, but I'm not saying you should. So what I do want to say is make a disclaimer, just so that you're all aware. Yes, we're medical missionaries and we're putting on this program this evening. If you are under the care of a physician, just make sure that you continue your care. And equally, if you decide that you do want to go down a natural route, you must make your physician know that also. So we're not telling you what to do, not to do, but what we are saying is there are gentler ways, complementary ways, I should add, restorative ways of dealing with fibroids, and hysterectomy should be the absolute last resort. Absolute last resort. You do not have to take away your womanhood to cure, you know, to treat fibroids or to manage fibroids. It can be dealt with in another way.
I sanction that 100%.
How about myomectomy, Michelle?
Okay, yeah, so I just wanted to say that majority, not all, but majority of the women that have a myomectomy, the fibroids come back, and they tend to come back with a vengeance.
Yes.
That's because you have done a temporary fix, but you haven't changed your lifestyle. You haven't done the things that you need to do to keep them at bay. So if you had a myomectomy, then that's just the first step really in getting rid of fibroids. I just wanted to make a point about hysterectomy. Now, if you notice, the caption that we had is womb, woman's only means of giving birth. And so we all came on planet Earth to reproduce, right? To populate the Earth. And as a woman, some women, they really suffer when they can't have children. So sometimes, because you feel like you're at the end of your tether, this fibroid isn't going, the bleeding, it's taking everything out of you, they feel like this is the only option and I have to take my womb out. And then you're denied the privilege of giving birth. And I empathize with women. But the woman in the Bible with the issue of blood, she did everything that she could. She exhausted her means and she exhausted the sources except the natural source. Okay. And
Amen.
then if she didn't take her womb out, because if she had, she wouldn't need to go to Jesus. Do you see?
Mhm.
And so we have that in the Bible to encourage us that all is not lost, because when the doctor says we can't do anything else for you, Jesus still can do something for you. But it
Amen.
takes faith. And so she had to come through a crowd and she had to just grab for the hem. And God just saying, listen, you got to just give me your last breath that you have. Reach out to me and I'll fix it for you. He can. So I know a lot of women are suffering. And the thing about nature's ways, that it takes a bit more patience. It's developing character. So sisters, please, if you feel like you're at the end of your tether, make sure, as Sister Jones said, it's a last resort. Weigh up the pros and the cons, because a lot of women suffer with depression after they have a hysterectomy.
Why do you think they suffer from depression? How do you think?
Well, you upset your equilibrium. Your hormones are now out of whack. Your ovaries and all the things that you need to help to balance you back is not there. Some people keep their ovaries, but they still have issues.
Yes, and
And
Yeah.
also the sense of loss. To some women, remember, they are still young and they're not able to have children, and then they feel like that is the last resort because the doctors are telling them that that's it, we're gonna have to take it out. But they would have loved to have more children, and then these women are dying of depression because they feel like they're not worth it. They are, self-loathing, like they don't matter anymore. Like their womanhood has been stripped off them. So yeah.
Yes.
Feeling less of a woman. So that's the only thing that separates us, really.
From a man.
Right? The main thing.
All right. How about,
Davina?
sorry?
Just a sister here. I think it's Maxine Dennis. I think she said, "Dear ladies," and I felt like I should read this. "Please do not allow doctors to butcher your womanhood. I had a hysterectomy at the age of 28. I didn't have fibroids, other problems. I wasn't in church yet, nor knew anything about the health message. It was an emotional nightmare. Once I came into the health message, things improved via my diet. Please, my sister." So that's a plea,
Yeah.
Can I just add to that also?
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Can I just add to that if as Maxine has mentioned, if you do go down that, if you have gone down that route, I should add, of having a hysterectomy, there are foods that will actually act as hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, because it's interesting that they take away what helps to balance your reproductive system and your hormones, and then they say, here you go, now you've got to be taking this almost for the rest of your life. It doesn't make sense. But there are foods, there are supplements, there are ways of balancing your hormones once you've had a hysterectomy. So please, we're not saying that's it, doom and gloom, goodbye, there's nothing that can be done. Absolutely the opposite. If you have gone down that route, because many of us would not have known the pros and cons at the time, and so if you have gone down that route and you've had a hysterectomy, I promise you will be able to balance your hormones once again through the food that you will use as your medicine.
Thank you very much, Joan. So that shows that there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Now, how does this impact a marriage? How does it impact on the husbands?
So ladies who with this matter usually have heavy bleeding, long period of bleeding as well too. Yeah. So husband always have to support in that supportive role for his wife, and of course, so in terms of their marital intercourse, that will be delayed because sometimes women bleed for sometimes 14 days and heavy bleeding as well. Yes.
More than that sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes. Yes.
Yeah.
So impacts on both parties, both the man and the woman, and heavy bleeding. So for the lady,
always walking around with, bag full of napkins, just in order to ensure that she takes care of herself. I know of ladies who've actually gone to weddings and, occasions and really found themselves in a really horrible situation where they've,
Wow.
not
Yeah,
prepared for it. And there it goes, because it comes on sometimes suddenly and heavy as well.
yes,
So it's
absolutely.
really a
And
pain.
it can be debilitating. I've known women who've said they've gone to work
Mm.
and they literally, they'll have a spasm of pain
Mm.
and they would literally have to stand still and maybe even press onto a wall just so that they can breathe through that pain. And some of them have said it's actually worse than giving birth, the pain that can come on them suddenly, especially when they're having their periods, their menses at the time, and they've got fibroids. It very, very painful. And yes, I can imagine how it can affect a marriage relationship. But for most of our dear husbands, I would expect them to remember, for better or for worse.
Yes.
And
You
and-
would.
absolutely, and look after the weaker one of the two, and support them through this, because obviously the woman will also be feeling that she's not doing her bit, and she's not she's not looking after her husband in a specific way. So the two should work together. No woman should actually feel that actually she's not good enough and she's not doing enough, because it is a condition, and it can be an illness, and it's a condition, but I always say it's a temporary condition. So some women I've met, it's a temporary condition, because it can be dealt with. And we heard that wonderful testimony from Stacia, where fibroids can shrink. There are certain things that can be done to shrink the fibroids,
Yes,
and you can expel it from your
Yes.
body,
Yeah.
or you shrink it and it's not there anymore. And so you go into the hospital and they're doing their ultrasound scan, and they see 3 fibroids there. They measure it and they say, well, this one is how many centimeters, and this one is how many centimeters, etc. And then you start on that wonderful, diet,
Yes.
say, and supplements. And then you go back for your appointment in 3 months' time, and then they'll just be looking for what they thought was there. Or they'll say, oh, it's halved in size. Oh, wait a minute. I knew we had 3 and now I only see 1.
Yes.
What's going on?
Yes. And I
And
just, yes.
That's fact. That is
Yes.
fact.
Yes.
So yes, lifestyle, diet, as Hippocrates said, let food be your
Food,
medicine, medicine be your food.
Man.
When you
Excellent.
start eating your medicine, you can
Yes.
treat fibroids.
Thank
I
you
ju-
very much, panelists.
I just want to quickly say on the impact of the quality of life, because especially for those women who work, have to go out in the workplace, who are not working for themselves as entrepreneurs, that the employers also need to be aware, because being on the other side of the table, myself as an HR consultant, and you see a list of sickness absence every month, and ladies, the manager, whether it's the school head teachers, whatever the employers are, can really get hard on these ladies, but not knowing what the difficulties that they're seeing. So when the lady calls in to say, I'm absent from work today because of menstruation or fibroids, the employer thinking, what? Get to work, but not realizing the difficulty that poor woman is going through. So
Yes.
awareness is great. It's
Absolutely.
to bring that knowledge
Yes.
to employers.
So I just want to say it does have a massive impact on your livelihood,
Yes.
on your social life, on
Yes.
your marriage relationship, even on your children. It impacts the life completely. And one person here in the group has said, I used to carry, well, it's just 3 panties with them to work, and they would even fall asleep. At one point, they almost fell asleep in an interview. That just shows how badly anemic that person had become as a result of the constant bleeding. We will now have another break in transmission, and we will have Sister Louise, who will be sharing a little bit of her testimony. We've got just about 10 minutes to wrap up the program. I was hoping that we would be able to finish the subject completely today. So, Sister Louise, if you share a short version of your testimony so we can then look at a little bit of just to cover up a little bit of the natural treatment, the lifestyle changes that one can make, and how as well AGMM can support them if they still need further assistance after all that we have given away.
Yeah, sorry, thank you, Davina, definitely, because I think one of the main things that's come home to me as a medical missionary and a part of the AGM team, but also someone who's had problems with fibroids in a very, very massive way. If you remember my testimony last week, I had fibroids as large as a baby.
Oh, sorry, I muted you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sorry, I accidentally muted you.
Okay, I was just saying, I have to take my hat off and I go full strength with the team, the panel team, in regards to diet and lifestyle, because as a medical missionary and a part of the AGM team and someone who has had massive fibroids from my testimony last week, remember I said I had fibroids as large as a baby's head at one stage, yeah? And so to know that this can shrink through diet and lifestyle, that's the only way mine's happened. That was the only way, by taking charge of the life, your health basically. And you know, Sister Jones said something really important. She said, you know, people have hysterectomies and stuff like that, they lose their ovaries and stuff like that. People make decisions and they may be in the valley of decision now. Do I have a hysterectomy? Do I have a myomectomy? Some people choose hysterectomy for lots of different reasons, but I always say to people, I don't advise that, but if you're going to go down that road, don't let them take the ovaries, because your ovaries is where your hormones are, or the hormones are, and stuff like that. And so in terms of moving on now, I think the best plan, as that's been said already, is for us to really do take control of our diets. Do be careful in what you eat. I mean, I've seen lots of questions in the chat saying, so what can you eat? What can't you eat? What, you know, all those type of things. The best thing to do is to have a health assessment with a member of the team, but have the idea in your mind that this can be sorted out. This can be improved. Excellent. I can take control of my health again and not leave it in the hands of doctors. Do you understand? And it's usually detox programs, simple lifestyle changes. And Sister Michelle said something very, very important. You know, sometimes we've been having a problem for years, but we want it to be fixed like this. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Overnight.
No, it doesn't go like that, sisters. Sorry. You have to take the time to fix the problem. It didn't get there overnight. It came there bit by bit by bit by bit. And now we have to work bit by bit by bit to get rid of it by the grace of God, or get it under control where you can get a better quality of life. So please, if you're suffering with this, make sure you email us at AGMM so that we can get you into having a health assessment and then move you forward from there by God's grace.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Louise. And now we just want to wrap things up to see if we can finish everything off. So next week we can look at endometriosis, and then the following week we will look at PCOS. So we are covering women.
Yeah.
Our womanhood. We are covering our womanhood in this 4-part series. So now, ladies, have you ever heard about this treatment called UFE?
Are you asking the ladies on the
panel?
Oh, on the panel.
Yes.
Go ahead. Obviously, you have, Davina.
Have you ever heard anything about this uterine fibroid embolization?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
This was offered to me. Yeah.
Is it any good? Tell us a little bit about it, because it's been touted as good by doctors.
I've read about it and it seems good on paper, but but you know, when you start messing with those hormone things, you know, you have to expect something else. Yeah, the repercussions, exactly. I'm not saying that people are in such a, like their back is against the wall, that they don't make the decisions and they go forward. And sometimes on a very small, and I say small, minute, yeah, case, then you come out good the other side. But unless you stay off the stuff that caused the problem in the first place, then you know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
You know what's going to happen. So what we have to do, when they offered this to me, I was like, Lord, you know, do you want me to do this? Do I have to do this? And we made the decision that they said, we're all prepped to go. We did all the pre-bits. And then I was talking to God and I was saying, do you want me to do this, Lord? Do I have to do this? Is this the only way? And, you know, it wasn't the only way. And so the operation that was scheduled, the procedure that was scheduled, was cancelled by accident, somehow, somewhere, somehow. And that was my sign from God saying, don't go ahead and do this. You can do this a different way. And yes, it takes a bit more effort in the long run, in terms of having to go through the process of doing lots of different things. But, you know, I can guarantee you that sometimes these procedures that are meant to be quite good, and I'm sure it is with good intentions that they have, it does not always work out that way.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that. Many people who have done it has actually said it doesn't work. And
Yeah.
those are personal testimonies. Now I am going to move on quickly, right? Because we need to be closing down soon. But I've got one last question before I just touch on 10 foods that we can use to help ourselves to combat this. Why does one still get bleeding and pain sometimes, even after having fibroids removed?
Well, see, as Sister Louise talks about, so if we're not changing our diet, so we potentially feeding the fibroids to come back.
Yes.
Also, so bleeding can come from so for that operation or that surgery procedure that's been done, it causes scarring on the tissue.
Excellent.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's scarring, and also, you know, more bleeding as well too, heavy bleeding in terms of those procedures. So yes, on one hand, they may remove the fibroids, but if we continue in our same lifestyle as prior to the surgery or the procedure that's been done, then of course we would go back to things being the same.
Yeah, I must say also, I have a client who is in a wheelchair. This is a bubbly lady who was walking, talking, doing everything. And what happened? She had surgery to remove fibroids. One day, like a year later, she passed out. She hadn't had any complexion or anything. When they saw the gynecologist, do you know what happened? She had scar tissue. So it's like she had keloid skin on the inside, and all of her organs fused. They encompass the organs, so they fused together. She had to have about 4 different consultants working on her at the same time. Now her organs are encased in mesh so that they don't fuse, and she's always on edge, so you can't touch her because her nerves are so heightened. She feels a lot of pain. Yeah, she feels a lot of pain. And so sometimes we think we're going to correct one thing and we create a whole host because we don't understand fully our own bodies. She had keloid skin internally. We have to be so careful with the different surgeries and all the things that we want to do when we start tampering with things, you know. But that was just to tell us that, you know, we never know. Take the Lord first. I did see Brother Kobe's hand. I'm sure he was the one that asked the question last week.
Brother Kobe will have to wait a bit. I need to wrap this up. All right, so 10 foods, right? So the question I'm asking is, what can you do for yourself and what can AGMM do for you? So for what AGMM can do for you, you need to go on our website and book an appointment for a chat with one of us, right? And we have done this for you by educating you, enlightening you, giving you a vast amount of information freely, because we love you. We love each other, and we are doing this for you. Now we're sending you away with a few little bits that you can do for yourself. If you still need further help, find us.
Yes.
It is always good. This information you can use for preventative measures.
Yeah.
If you're already there, get some proper support, get some help as you go through this, right? So a few foods, make sure you're getting enough vitamin D, right? Make sure you're getting enough omega-3s. Make sure you're getting iron-rich foods. Make sure you're getting your carrots and your beets and your kales in your diet. Put away the gluten. Garlic is a rich antioxidant. Make that a little bit of your friend. Your lentils and your legumes, they're top fiber-rich food that will help to absorb toxins and remove waste from the body. Your dark green leafy vegetables and your fruits, anti-inflammatory foods, go for those. Do come to us for a liver flush. Come to us to fix you up, right? Cruciferous vegetables, make those your friends. And I'm just gonna hand over to the panel. Is there anything more you would like to say to this lovely audience before we take a few questions?
Yes.
Yes, I would like
Exercise.
to say, salt is very important in the diet, okay?
Yes.
Water, if you are having a lot of clots, it's a sign of dehydration and that the blood tends to clot.
Yeah.
You also may be having too much cruciferous vegetables, all right? So, and that is going to impact on your thyroid. So you need to understand how your body's function. If you see these symptoms, then you ask, why am I having these symptoms? And seek
Yes.
to rectify the problem, okay? So make sure when you're on your menstrual cycle, make sure your water intake is up to par, okay?
Yes.
And
Use
lady,
your
yes.
natural,
Sonia.
I'm a bit low, I couldn't hear, I'm sorry. I thought I heard Sonia's voice, or is it Joan's voice?
It's, well, I'm going to allow
Sonia.
Sonia, then I'll come in after Sonia.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, I just want to say, ladies, that I like talking about the gut. And I always say to ladies, ensure that you're having a bowel movement at least once a day. And that's at least. So it should be more, because if you're eating every day,
You're eating
breakfast,
twice
lunch,
per day.
dinner, then you need, yeah, that's what I said, at least. They need to be going.
Yeah.
Lots of time people come to me and they say, okay, no, I don't have a bowel movement for once every 2 days. No.
That's
no.
severe.
So that's the best. So we need fiber. So things like your apples, fiber-rich foods, your avocados as well too. Always help to, get the fibers in order to help. And as Sister Michelle said about the water, is key to help.
What
flushing
is
things out, because
AGMM? Someone is asking, what is AGMM, please? A question in the group.
Unison. We can all say it in unison. It's
Yes.
Association
of
of Gospel
Gospel
Medical
Medical
Missionaries.
Yeah.
That wasn't unison.
All right, so let me say that for you. It is Association of Gospel Medical Missionaries International.
Yeah.
So we are all over, and we come under one umbrella where you can find us easily instead of going through a directory to search everywhere. Do you know any medical missionaries? Do you know any medical missionaries? Here we are. We're all in one place.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I also say, following on from Michelle and Sonia, Davina, you mentioned cruciferous vegetables.
Yes.
So to my lady colleagues listening in or viewing us, so that means broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, they all contain a chemical compound that naturally binds to estrogen and removes it from the body.
Yes.
So try to introduce broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. Those three alone contain a chemical compound that naturally binds to estrogen and removes it from the body, as well as being fibrous. You do not have to eat it raw. What I would suggest you do is you take a kettle and boil some water, and you can pour it over your broccoli, your cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts, and then cover it with a lid. And all it will do is soften it somewhat for you if you find that it's too tough to eat raw. I hope that will help. So broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts all contain a chemical compound that naturally binds to estrogen and removes it from the body.
And another thing to conclude, I just want to say, ladies, exercise.
Amen.
We need to exercise.
Speaking of exercise, we do have a member of AGMM who is a physiotherapist. His name is Len, and he is running some lovely, amazing, absolutely fantastic exercise session that will help to kickstart that metabolism. That will help to eliminate toxins from the system. And listen to me, I love exercise. I love exercise, and there's a reason behind that. When you get in a routine of exercise, it produces so much good chemicals in your body that you feel like you're in heaven on this earth, all right? There is no better feeling you get than doing exercise. And I'm telling you that, all you married ladies, I'm telling you that.
It's also great for relieving stress.
Yes, absolutely.
And
So
there's
go on our website.
Yes.
Go on our website and pick up Len's link. You will see his contact details there to contact him about the exercise sessions, which are live on Zoom. And they are absolutely fantastic. Others who have joined, they just come back raving about it. So go ahead, join Len. It's £3 a session. It's worth it because the motivation is there and the support is there.
Yes, and also there are I should add, there are herbs. There are herbs that I call them restoration herbs that can be used, but only under the guidance of any of the medical missionaries. But there are things that you can. There are things that. Sorry, can I just? Okay.
Please, Joan.
Yeah, finish your point.
Oh, sorry. So you know, you've got estrogen blocking herbs, turmeric. Turmeric is excellent.
Yeah.
Also passion flower. And then there's something called fenugreek, and fenugreek comes in powder form or seeds, and these help to reduce excess estrogen. So it's turmeric, so everyone knows what turmeric is. Passion flower, fenugreek, F-E-N-U, Greek in the name, and these help to reduce excessive estrogens. So these are, because they contain an enzyme called aromatase.
Yes, aromatase.
Aromatase.
Yeah.
So it helps to reduce the excessive estrogen. So those are the foods, as Davina mentioned, that will help, and then the vegetables, you know, broccoli and cauliflower, etc. But you can also try the turmeric, the passion flower, and the fenugreek. But there are herbs, restoration herbs, but those can only be given under the guidance of the medical missionaries. So we've given you a starter for 10 ladies.
Okay. Joan, Michelle, Sylvia, Louise, Stacia. Have I missed anyone? No.
Davina.
Davina. I just want to say thank you all very much for this amazing program that you have put on tonight, this wealth of information that you have shared with these lovely ladies that follow us every week. We really, I'm speaking on behalf of the ladies, we really appreciate this, that AGMM is doing for the community, right? And I just want to remind you ladies, as the Lord speaks to your heart, remember we are a self-supporting ministry, right? So as the Lord speaks to your heart, go in your wallet and put a little something in the kitty for us.
I love that.
Yes.
We do have hands though. We do have.
I think we're out of time, but there are 2 hands that have been there for quite a while.
Yeah, let's take the 2 hands.
Okay, yes, let's take the 2 hands, and then I'll tell you a little bit about our cooking course that starts next week. So if you want to learn how to cook some lovely food to help you to transition from a meat-eating diet to a whole food, plant-based diet, to live life to its fullest and to achieve optimum health so you can serve your Lord more clearly and serve your family more efficiently and your employer as well, then come on this course. There you go, Michelle. Take the hands that you have up.
So we have Kobe. Please
Kobe?
ask your question. Yes, I know.
Kobe? Is that the lady? Okay, Kobe, you've got a daughter, you've got a wife, you've got a sister. Go ahead with your question, please.
Okay, good evening. Please,
Evening.
as usual, I'm a man.
Good evening, Kobe.
Please, you asked the question, why is it that bleeding continues after removing the fibroid? And I wanted to answer that. When the fibroids are removed, the environment is disturbed, okay? And we know that the uterus is made up of so many layers. We have the endometrium and the myometrium. And the myometrium is noted for controlling bleeding. So once the fibroids are removed, and the myometrium is made up of muscles that is able to contract to stop bleeding. So if that environment is disturbed,
Yes.
bleeding is not able to stop. So the woman continues to bleed. And then little about the diet. I believe that we are all Adventists, and we honor the writings of our sister Ellen G. White. When you read the Ministry of Healing, okay, the use of remedies, it says that when the abuse of health is carried so far that sickness results, the sufferer can often do for himself what no one else can do for him. The first thing to be done is to ascertain the true character of the sickness.
Yeah.
What is trying
Yes.
to do is that we are saying a lot, but what we tend to forget is that we don't look at what brings the disease.
We
You
did,
understand?
Kobe.
Yeah, I
No,
understand.
no, speaking
Yeah,
generally.
I appreciate that. I even heard it since last week. But that is not the only cause. Sometimes what we eat contribute to some of these things. You understand?
Absolutely.
So if we don't take conscious effort about what we eat, and not only what we eat, what we also apply on the skin, sometimes contribute to some of these sicknesses.
Yes.
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 Thank you,
Thank
Kobe.
you, Kobe.
Thank
Phytates,
you
the
so much.
parabens.
Kobe.
Thank you, Kobe.
Yeah.
And there was another hand. If we do that one quick.
Olivia.
Yeah.
Olivia, would you like to?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Okay. Actually, today is my first day coming onto the station. I missed the last week one.
Welcome on our website.
Thank you. Actually, I mean, I'm saying I'm a woman, and we're talking about women issues. And I was wondering because I grew up in the Caribbean. So let's go back to when I first had my period. I was like 11, and then when he first came, he didn't come after that. The first time he came, he just came like 6 months later, and then when he came, he stayed like 2 weeks, and heavy bleeding with pains and lots of blood clots. And I remember my mom used to give me hot cinnamon and wine, and every time she gave me that to drink, I would have more clots, more bleeding and everything, but then the pain would be coming out. And I've been like this since since I first have my period, and I had to go to the GP, and then they prescribed pills to me to bring back everything. This is probably a hormone balance, and it still didn't do anything. I had my son. After I had my son, my period came back like normal every month, but then after that, he went back after 6 months, or after I stopped breastfeeding, actually. After I stopped breastfeeding, he come back to the same way it came when I first had my period. To the point of today, I am because he used to disrupt my days and everything. my GP told me, well, maybe you don't want the pill because the pill makes you put on weight, and I know the problem. So they put me on an implant. And what the implant did, it stopped my period altogether. So I don't get any period. But I'm like, how is that impacting onto my own health? And then I think I heard someone saying earlier that it is not a good thing to interrupt the natural flow of things. So I'm like, if I remove it, I might go back to the same thing and be suffering, not being able to do anything, because 2 weeks, heavy bleeding, painful, and all that. So I don't know what I can do, eat or whatever to bring that into balance, to have your period every month like a normal person, and not every 3 to 6 months.
Olivia, you've had this problem for a very long time. What this one requires is, if you go on our website, you will see a calendar on our website. Just go on that calendar and book yourself in for a private chat with us, so someone can help you. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. All right, we are gonna say goodbye now to everyone. Kobe, if you're still there, we just want to say, if you are a medical missionary yourself and you would like to join AGMM and to become a member, please do go on our website as well. And there is our application form, as well as a page which lists the benefits of the membership. So please do go and check it out on our website, and please feel free to join us and have an opportunity to present as well on maybe the men's show.
Use the website again.
It's
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, Joan will put it in the chat. It's www.agmmintl.com. And finally, just a reminder, the cooking course is next week. And if you would like to know more about the cooking course, please do send us an email at AGMM. No, an email at association of AGMM at no.
Association of
GMM
at gmail.com.
Yes. Or you can send it to myself at thenaturalremedieskitchen.com. You could go on that website, thenaturalremedieskitchen.com, and send me an email from there. Okay. You can also get a GMM page from there as well. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us.
Sorry, Davina, before you go, someone is saying it says £1 per hour. Is that per hour? That's not correct. I'm sorry.
Oh, that needs to be corrected. Oh boy.
Your first 15 minutes assessment is free. After that, it's £50 for the first hour, but your first 15 minutes is free.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's your advisory session.
Yeah, and please do remember, feel impressed to donate. We accept donations. Just want to say we love you. It is now your bedtime, as it is our bedtime, and we want to prevent diseases. And we know that one of the lifestyle habits that we must practice is good sleep hygiene. And that is, let us get in our bed and turn the mobile phones off and all the little blue lights off. Let's say by 9 o'clock, then you read your Bible and you talk to the Lord, and you fall asleep by about 9:30. Allow the liver to detoxify the body while you are resting. And you will find yourself looking prettier and prettier.
Yes.
Speaking from experience. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night. Bye.
We love you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And going forward, you can always use the same link, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. And also Sunday, 11 a.m., we have AGMM show, which is talks about country living,
homeschooling,
and health. Yes, and gardening.
Yes, that's good.
So God bless you all. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye, ladies.
Bye. One
Take
last
care.
thing, if you're still online, if you know anyone who is looking for property to buy in Jamaica to return there, please contact me. So contact me by sending an email to AGMM.
Association
Yes,
of
go ahead, Joe.
GMM@gmail.com.
Okay. Or find me on the Natural Remedies Kitchen. So that is if you want to do country living in Jamaica and you're looking for property there, land or house or both, just contact me.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.